very good job that Merlin was a magician, actually, otherwise I think he might have starved. In fact, I sometimes wonder how the people who lived here hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, actually managed to get by. Hi, hope you're good today. Thanks for joining me. My name is Andy. So here I am in the Garden of Serenity, but it looks to me as if it's going to rain very shortly, like it's never rained before. So I think this is a good moment to go into town. It was just so hot last night, gosh, really, and most of yesterday as well. But it was super hot last night and I couldn't sleep. So the time has come to go into town and get a fan. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to go to Carmarthen, the land of Merlin, and we'll have a look at what's going on there, if I can ever get the car in gear, which I think I have done now. So here we go. Really tricky weather for growing stuff in the garden at the moment, I'll say that. It's a very good job that Merlin was a magician, actually, otherwise I think he might have starved. In fact, I sometimes wonder how the people who lived here hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, actually managed to get by. Because it's pretty easy for animals to be raised around here, so I guess there was a lot of meat to eat, but you know, even the most dedicated carnivores don't only eat meat. You have to have something to go with it. And I'm not at all surprised actually that lifespans were shorter in those days. But how did they get vegetables? I don't know. I mean, leeks seem to grow quite well here, and potatoes do all right usually. They've been rubbish the last couple of years, but normally they're pretty good. I think that's just the crazy weather we've been having. But this is it, you know, every now and again you get crazy weather, and it's not like there was a famine or a drought or anything like that, but the veg I'm trying to grow, except most of them are going nowhere this year. Some of them are doing well, like the Jerusalem artichokes, sunchokes. Some people call them Jerusalem artichokes because they're girasol artichokes, girasol being a French word meaning sun, really. And they're doing okay, actually. We have had lots of sun, so maybe that's not too surprising. But it's very, very hard to get a regular crop, you know. If I plant lots of different things, one or two things will grow. But I think it's maybe 10 years ago since everything grew that I planted. And that was a great year. We had loads of bush tomatoes. Just had these tomato bushes everywhere, these really nice sweet tomatoes on them. But how did people survive in the old days? I really wonder. I really do. And you know, I can see magic being behind that somehow, and I'm not too surprised that Merlin and all the pagan peoples of his day put so much trust and so much faith and so much belief in the divine and in the magic of Mother Earth, in the earth magic, because there'd be no way to get through if you didn't really believe in that. And this is something that we've lost a lot of in the modern age, because everything now is made so conveniently. And for example, when I go to buy my fan, I should probably buy some food as well in neat little plastic packages. And it's not that expensive. I can do that and it's going to be fine. But what about in the days when what I'm doing now, a journey of about, I suppose a round trip of about 30 miles, you would have had to make that journey with a horse and cart. You'd probably have taken a whole day to get there and had to stay the night and then come back the next day, maybe in 2 stages if you only had one horse. So maybe this was a 4-day thing, and people couldn't take 4 days away from working the land. So I guess it didn't happen. And I guess somehow they got through, but they must have been virtually eating grass. And the human body can't deal with grass. People have tried making food out of grass and they invariably end up in hospital, is the way it goes. But I just don't see what else they could have eaten back in the day. If any of you guys are historians and kind of know how people used to get through, do let me know. I'd be very interested to find out, actually, because I would like nothing more than to actually live off the land full time, 100%. I'm almost off grid down here, so I depend heavily on the magic of nature. I certainly do. And I dare to think that puts me in tune with Merlin and what Merlin was all about. But I find it virtually impossible. I really do. And like I say, maybe if the conveniences weren't available, maybe I'd just have to, you know. But it's very convenient to use them. That's all I can say. So we'll hit the road now. I'm pretty sure it's going to rain all day. It hasn't rained yet, but the sky is really promising rain. And it's very close last night, as if there might even be a big thunderstorm. So we might get some bolts of lightning along the way. Who knows, though? The weather plays this weird game of sort of hide and seek in this area. Sometimes I don't water the garden because I'm sure it's going to rain like this. I haven't watered it today. And it might be like this for the next 2 or 3 days without any rain. Then it might go back to blazing sunshine again. So tomorrow it'll probably be like this, and I'll be out watering the garden when it looks like rain. And my neighbour will think I've gone mad. Maybe I have. But it's playing this game with nature, you know, and this is what Merlin was so good at. And actually, you know, I would see him as one of the greatest people, if not the greatest person, certainly in this area, the greatest person at understanding earth magic and using it in his everyday life. But everybody had to. And I'm talking about, you know, thousands of years ago, but even if you go back, say 400 or 500 years ago to the time when my house was built, even then, I mean, it's really only in the late Victorian age that we got to the situation around this area where people could go to shops and buy things. It's a long time. It's probably the 1920s or 30s before people, I think the 30s, maybe even the 40s, before you could actually trust the stuff you were buying in shops. Bakers used to put sawdust and all kinds of stuff in their bread to make it go further because flour was so expensive. And you can grow wheat here, for sure you can. But probably not every year. I think wheat did reasonably okay because it's a winter crop, you know, so you don't have to have blazing sunshine or anything like that. But I've tried that, and it's very easy to get into a situation where mice and rats just come along and eat the whole lot, because they're kind of desperate in winter, and I can't blame them. Can't blame them at all. But, I had some naughty words to say when that happened. That was me dreaming of, you know, milling my own flour and making my own bread. And there's no chance. But again, there's another place where the people in the olden days, so to speak, really needed to use a lot of magic to make things keep happening. Had to, you know, pray to the goddess, make sacrifices to the goddess to make things happen. Because in those days, if you lost your crop, you couldn't just go to the shops and buy some bread. And even when your wheat grew and you came to mill it, it would be so dusty, you know. Whenever I've done that, I've had to wear a face mask, and the face mask is black afterwards with all the wheat dust. It's not like nice white floury dust. It's not even brown. It's this black dust that gets everywhere. And people who were millers for a living and bakers for a living had a life expectancy of no more than about 40 years, even in the 19th century, because of all the dust they were breathing all the time. There's just no escape from it. So, bit of drama here. There is a police officer just picking some stuff up off the road, and he's going to get back in his car now, so I guess we can go. Most interesting. Oh, he stopped again. Okay, let's stop the camera for a minute. We're off again. That was some coal sacks lying on the road, but they kind of looked like there might be something in them, so it was slowing all the traffic down. So the officer pulled up and put them all in his car, and off he went. But here's some beautiful country scenery, and I guess this would have helped the people in the time of Merlin to just feel good about life. You know, there's always something beautiful. No matter how hard life gets, there always seems to be something beautiful in nature to look at. I say, you know, no matter how hard life gets, I guess it depends, you know. If we think of the concentration camps, I guess they might have been in beautiful woodland areas. Some of the Polish ones were, but that would just be no help at all, would it? No consolation at all if you're in that level of fear. But look at that sky, so threatening. It's still not raining, but it's threatening. When we think of the kind of troubles that people have in modern days, although something like the genocide of the the 1940s up to 1945, the concentration camps, which had actually started off in the 1930s, but you know what I'm talking about, sort of World War II and Hitler and all that. We tend to think those days are gone, you know, that it won't be like that again. And it's certainly not like that anymore on a big scale. But there are places in the world still, you know, North Korea for one of them. And I bet a lot more places where it's unknown, where it's totally hidden. Places where people are in fear of their lives and are beaten daily. And in fear because people they know have been put to death in the most horrific way. It's been said that Kim Jong-un in North Korea has people eaten alive by dogs if he doesn't like them. Now, I don't know how true that is, but there have been reports of that. But even the people who make those reports aren't totally sure exactly how it is, where it is, what happens. But there is still genocide, you know, and that is still the world we live in. most unfortunately. And at that time, if people find themselves in a situation like that, they very often feel that God or the divine or whatever it is they believe in is the only thing that can help them. And then faith becomes very strong. And I wonder sometimes if our faith was that strong all the time as it would have been in Merlin's day, because it was essential. If our faith was that essential to us now, maybe we'd see more magic happening. Because as I've often said, magic sort of times itself to the moment when it's most needed. And as I pray to the goddess and do my little rituals to try and make sure my garden grows well, all I'm really asking for is, can I have the best food, please, homegrown food, instead of having to go and buy it from the shops. I'm not at all in fear of my life, and I feel sorry for people in this area who depend on the food they grow. And there are some. Poverty is still that bad all over the world in little pockets everywhere. I feel so bad for those people who depend on what they grow, because not only are there no guarantees that a particular crop will work out, there are no guarantees that any crop at all will work out. I was saying about my artichokes, they are coming on a treat, but I had to try and grow other things as well. And I haven't got a year's supply of artichokes. I haven't got a year's supply of anything. And that's fine, because there are shops and we're going to some now. But what would I do if there weren't? How much would any of us depend on that magic? What would we do? I mean, if society was the way it was in the time of Merlin, I mean, God help you if you even got such a simple thing as toothache. What would you do? No dentists. You'd have to depend on herbs. And you'd have to depend on the fact that herbs had grown in a timely way. In the live video on Sunday, actually, there was a lady talking about a lot of lavender that she'd grown. No, I'm sorry, that was another live video, which isn't on my channel, unfortunately, because I did that was a service I did on Zoom for a spiritualist church, and for various reasons we don't record those. But yeah, there was a lady who's grown a load of lavender and just kind of didn't really know what to do with it. And someone else came onto the chat in that service and said, well, you can dry it out, it'll last for years, and came up with various suggestions for how she could sell this lavender. So very far from hopeless, and I guess as long as you've got a crop of something, you could barter it for something else, which has to be good news. We're pretty close to Carmarthen now, Merlin's actual place where he lived, and I'm sure he'd be familiar with these roads. They're easily within walking distance. But here we go, we'll go round the roundabout. There's some of Merlin World over there, and we'll go up into the town bit, which is where Merlin really hung around, and it's because of Merlin really that the town is here. It's what makes it a special place that drew people to come and live here. Excuse me. Got hiccups, so it must be right. You'll know that if you watch the lives. When I start hiccuping, I'm always on the money. Wow, gridlock. So we're coming over the old bridge now into Carmarthen town centre. Most of what you can see is cars and a gas station, but we'll get there in minutes. Right in front of us, up on the hill there, let's turn the camera a bit, that is the old Carmarthen prison. It's not a prison anymore, it's where the local council have their offices. But there's another bit of history connected with Carmarthen called the Rebecca riots, when it was very difficult to riot. Everything was cracked down on and policing was very strong. So a lot of the guys dressed up as women called themselves Rebecca, and they had bricks up their skirts because they knew that the police wouldn't dare search up a lady's skirt, or they wouldn't have done in those days anyway. So they got in through the town walls, and you can see part of the town walls around the edge of the old prison building there, in front of that carpets van, and just to the right of it. And so that is where they got locked up. We're passing the old Carmarthen Castle now. That's the oldest part of Carmarthen we're driving through now. So what is it about 11 AM on a Wednesday that makes it so busy? This is the busiest I've seen the town in years. Over there is an abandoned police station, which I guess is kind of YouTubey, but apart from that, there's not much happening. Well, that's the fan sorted out, and that is the food sorted out as well. Just push this up a bit so you can kind of see what's happening. And Merlin's roundabout any tick, any second now. And we'll see where the Royal Oak was. That museum still isn't open, but I'm planning to take you to the museum around Gweithfa very soon, so we can actually have a look at what's left of Merlin's Royal Oak. This is Old Oak Lane. Lonner hen Darwen, as they would have said in Merlin's day. And right, we've just gone round the corner where the oak tree used to stand. This is the life back out in the trees. I can feel the tree magic already. Trees all over in town there actually, but there's nothing like being somewhere like this where sure we've got a road and we've got noise and traffic and pollution, but the trees are kind of the boss here. There's more trees than anything else going on. It's a road through the trees. And this reminds me of something I very often say in readings and messages from the spirit world, about kind of grounding and being in a special place to meditate. There's nothing like trees. If you're in a place of nature where you're going to meditate, nothing like having trees around you, really, because they are so timeless. They're pretty well all joined together as well. If you look beneath the soil, they've all got roots that are all tangled up together. There's as much tree under the soil as there is above it, only it's spread out more. So they're all kind of holding hands. So they'll ground you and they'll carry you to wherever you need to go. So we're just about back home now. Got my fan, got my food, and here we are. It's a tarmacked road, but this road has been here since it was a muddy track very long ago. No one knows how long. No one knows who put it here in the first place. But it's a cattle track, you know. This is the way the cattle would have wanted to come. Look how old these great big trees are. Some of them 3 feet across. Massive things. There's Preseli in the distance, another place of Merlin. This road is so much prettier than the last time I videoed it. All different colours of flowers out. We've had the bluebells. There's still a couple of bluebells around actually. Had the dandelions, they've all turned into dandelion clocks now. Got these beautiful pink things and yellow things, cornflowers. All kinds of stuff. And before long, it's going to be the lupins. Because this is the magic of nature. There is no stopping it. No matter how much bad weather we've had, and no matter how much the leaves have dropped off the trees and stuff before time, we always seem to get these flowers. How do they do it? So there is today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching. Leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the thumbs up button as well. It all helps massively. If you'd like a reading all of your very own, drop me an email, 35and83@gmail.com. It's down there in the description. 35and83@gmail.com. That's it. And don't forget to check out coffee.com/twig. If you'd like to buy me a coffee or buy the channel a coffee, just stop in here to check the post. What have we got today? Absolutely nothing. Oh well. At least it keeps the pace of life nice and quiet, doesn't it? Right, well, hope you enjoy the rest of your day or your evening, wherever you are. And I'll see you again very soon in the next one. Love and light and blessings and peace.